So I'm going to tell you about Omaha, Nebraska as an example on how pit bull type dogs are oppressed in a certain city. So in Omaha in 2008, they decided to encourage a muzzle ban. And so they believed that pit bull type dogs were problem dogs, and they defined pit bull type dogs as 8 different kinds of purebred dogs and anything that looked like a wiry, short, stocky, block-headed dog. So basically, you could say, oh, that looks like a pit bull, and that becomes a pit bull. And so they defined it in such a way that they really just covered their bases everywhere. They look at Cane Corsos as pit bulls. They look at American Bulldogs as pit bulls, I believe. But it was literally 6 to 8. I don't remember the exact number, but either way, multiple purebred dogs that they categorize as pit bulls, and anything that basically looks like what they define as what a pit bull is. So in 2008, they finally put this ban into place, so you could keep your dog, but it had to be muzzled. Their Humane Society got $100,000 to enforce this ban. So imagine what you can do with $100,000 for spay and neuter, for education, for making sure that people have fences or have some kind of coverage for their dog if they need it. And instead, they wasted their money on categorizing dogs. And a year later, once all of these pit bulls were wearing muzzles, their bite statistics went up by over 100 bites, and then they kept going up every year. So if your problem dogs are pit bull type dogs and 8 purebred types of dogs, and all of a sudden they're all muzzled, then how does that work? And the fun is that all dogs have teeth, and people are still irresponsible, and people are still walking dogs without leashes and still doing things that compromise their dog's safety and the public's safety. So instead of enforcing that kind of situation, they were worrying about muzzles, and so nothing changed. And that's one of the best examples of how ridiculous BSL really is, because it's a false sense of security. And Boulder, Colorado, for example, has breed neutral laws, really works to enforce their leash laws, enforces fines. They have some of the best low bite statistics in the country. Meanwhile, Denver, which has a comparable population, has some of the worst bite statistics still to this day, even though they've banned so many different types of dogs, pit bull type dogs especially, and they're not any safer because they're not focusing on community safety. They're focusing on, that dog looks dangerous, so we should probably get rid of it, which isn't going to keep anybody safe. As long as dogs have teeth and people are irresponsible, we're always going to have a problem.
So you're saying that they got $100,000, right?
The Nebraska Humane Society.
The Nebraska Humane Society did. Right. Where did that money come from?
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so
if you ban my dog and I live in Omaha, Nebraska, I have to pay you to enforce banning my dog.
that's crazy, first of all.
Yeah.
Absolutely
It's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Did people think about it that way?
No. People thought that they were going to be safer. And unfortunately, they're not any safer. And it just turned out to be Labrador Retrievers became the #1 biters. Stray dogs were the #1 biters. Chihuahuas were the #1 biters. And it's not because they're any different or any more or less dangerous. It's that they still have teeth and people were still being irresponsible. And I'm going to say that over and over and over again, because it is truly everything that I came to find when I was doing my master's thesis on breed bans. It was always the same thing. Chained dogs, off-leash dogs, dogs that were being used in fearful ways to be trained. It was never, ever, ever a type of dog that was the problem. Humans were always the problem.